Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor.
Chris Miles was able to retire twice by the time he was 39 years old. But he's not content to just enjoy his own financial freedom and peace of mind. Chris wants you to have your own ripple effect so you can live free today. He's not the financial advisor you expected. He's the anti-financial advisor you deserve. He's jumping behind the mic right now, ready to make waves. Here's Chris Miles.
Hey, welcome to our show. It's for you, those that work so hard for your money, and you're now ready for your money to start working hard for you today. Why? Because you're sick and tired of working your butt off so that you can just live and survive. And even if you make great income, you want to be at the point where you have time freedom so you can live that life that you love with those you love. But it's not just about getting rich, because as you get more financially independent and financially prosperous, you can also bless the lives of those around you. And that is what it means to be a Rippler. Thank you for tuning in, allowing me to create a ripple effect in your lives. You guys have been binging on this show. I can already tell many of you guys have been asking questions that I can't remember the answer to from a couple years ago. So appreciate you guys reaching out, because, hey, if there's questions and topics you want on this podcast, please let us know. Just shoot us an email through our website. Hey, as a quick reminder, guys, if you haven't done so already, try out that passive income calculator today to see how much passive income you could create with the actual assets that you have available right now. So go and try that on our website at moneyripples.com. All right, guys. So I brought on a guest here that might surprise you, because this guy is actually a fan of the stock market. Now, you of course know that he gives me the big eyes when I say that, but it's true, because it's no secret. I think financial advising and mutual funds, they suck. I was actually on Mark's show recently, and the thing is, that's where we really united and connected on. And so I want to get Mark's perspective in the alternative investment world, but still, how do you make the stock market work? Could you actually cash flow and create passive income from the stock market? Because most people, I'll be bluntly honest, most people, even that trade in the stock market, haven't quite figured that out well yet. So I want to bring Mark here to see, is there a safe and efficient way to do that, and really dig into this different aspect or different angle from the stock market. So Mark, again, I guess I didn't really intro you properly, other than the topic. But again, you're a great author. I know you've worked with 7 and 8 figure wealth, really wealthy people, people that have created millions of dollars in their own lives and how they can create more with it. Tell us more about your story.
Well, I'm known as the wealth architect, and like you said, I mean, we could just riff on your intro for like a half an hour, because I just love the way you think. We think so similarly. But wealth architect, wealth isn't just about money, right? So, when I first started, I was kind of programmed, like we all are, by society, by our parents, whatever it is, to go after money and have money to be able to buy the bigger house and the bigger car and the hotter girlfriend or whatever. And we as we go through life, and as you get more success, you realize, and it happened to me. I got to the point where I had a beautiful house on the water in Florida, and I had a really nice convertible car and an airplane, and beautiful woman. And I started to look around me, and I'm like, okay, is that it? Because after you buy the car, after 2 months, you're like, all right, it's a car. It gets me from A to B, and it's a really nice car, but you're not thrilled like you were the day you drove it off the lot. And the same thing with all the other trappings of wealth. So wealth is more about abundance. I call it balanced abundance. And it's having wealth in all the aspects of your life, in your health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships, your spirituality, your travel. Like, it's time freedom is just one of the freedoms that's important. Financial freedom is another one. Location freedom is another one. And people freedom. Like, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of people I don't like to hang out with. So I got the freedom to not hang out with them, right? Because I don't have to go to a job, or I don't have to go to a Thanksgiving meal or whatever. Like, I get to choose who's in my life. But the main one is purpose freedom. I get to pursue my purpose. All right. So that's not answering anything about what you asked about the stock market. So let's go back to that financial freedom pillar that we talked about. And I have a program called the Cash Flow Machine. And what we do is we create reliable income from the stock market. And I know it's really funny, but let's use a real estate analogy, okay? Because that helps a lot of people understand it. So if you understand what covered calls are, I'm going to describe what covered calls are, but I'm going to use real estate as the analogy, because covered calls is it's the program that we modify to make our reliable income. But let's say that you buy a house, and I know you understand real estate and your listeners understand real estate. let's say you buy a house, you spend, I don't know, 300,000 on it, and you can rent it out for $2,000 a month. Do you care that the day after you buy it or the month after you buy it, it's worth $304,000 or $296,000 on Zillow?
Yeah, it doesn't
I
matter.
don't think so. What do you care about? You care about the $2,000 a month coming in. And so there's a way that you can own an asset in the stock market, like Amazon stock, for example, or Google stock or Tesla stock. And then you can sell an option to other people who are willing to pay you for the right to take your stock away from you if it goes higher. So a buyer of an option, 80% of buyers lose money. So we don't want to be a buyer, but a buyer is the gambler, right? And the gambler, what he does is he goes, well, Amazon or XYZ stock is trading at $100. I'll give you $2 if you promise to sell me your stock anytime in the next 2 months for $100 or 100, let's call it $105. So the stock has to go up $5 and the $2 that that person paid you, right, to make for them to break even. But if it goes up another $5, they took their $2 and turned it into $5, right? They made a killing. If it goes up $10, they took their $2 and turned it into $10. So they're really making a killing. You, on the other hand, just get to collect the $2 that they paid you for the right to take your stock away from you at 105. That was the agreement you made when you got into that option. So you say, okay, great. You're going to give me $2. I promise to sell you my stock if it goes, well, anytime, but if it goes up to 100, up over 105, it's yours. You get to buy it, and I get the 105 at that point. But I also get to keep the $2 no matter what. So looking at it as a real estate analogy, that $2 is the rent. And the Amazon stock, or the XYZ stock in this case, is the house. It's the asset. So we have the asset, we have the rent coming in. The rent is paid for by the gambler, and we are the house. And the house is the one that takes the gambler's money usually, right? And so that's how we do it. And if you get into covered calls, and this is a big misnomer, people get into covered calls and they're like, I bought this lousy stock and I lost a bunch of money in covered calls. It's not that safe. Or, I bought this stock and it went down. It's not that safe. The whole point of it is not checking the value all the time. It's getting the income. So I've been in Tesla for, going on 4 years now. And what we do is we collect 1 to 2% a week or 2 to 4% a month, depending on the strategy that we're employing at the time, every single month in income. And so, yeah, Tesla moves all over the place. Unfortunately, it's moved down a lot in the last couple of years, and the value of your account goes down. Well, you're not checking the value of your account every day, hopefully. You're just making sure you get that income every week or every month. And that's what we're focused on. It's a little different than, buying a stock low and trying to triple your money, selling it high. It's just making that stock work for you as an income vehicle. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know when I used to do stock trading and taught people how to do it, a lot of people didn't realize that you can buy a call option, which means you bet that the stock goes up, but a put option, you bet that the stock goes down. People are like, yeah, but how can you do that? How can you, it's like short selling. How can you sell something before you buy it? It's like, well, it's the same transaction. You need a buy and a sell, like for it to be a complete transaction. Who's say you can't do it in reverse order, and that's the crazy thing you can do in the stock market. You can play both directions. The hardest thing is when it doesn't go anywhere, right? That's if it doesn't do anything, which Tesla is an example you're giving. Tesla's not the stock that doesn't go anywhere. That thing is all over the place,
all over the place. And I just believe so much in the story. And, it's not an ideal vehicle for covered calls because Tesla does move a lot. It does pay a lot because the gamblers are all in Tesla and they're willing to pay you a bunch of money. But it's you'd rather have a stock that kind of stays the same, like an Exxon or a Coca-Cola or something like that. Yeah, more mature company. They don't pay much, but they do pay. You can probably make 1% a week, roughly, or 0.75% in a week, which is pretty good on a stock that doesn't move that much. So we have a full strategy around it. I call it the 4 cornerstones of the cash flow machine. It's the right stock. So, I have a friend of mine that used to do the cash flow machine, and he's like, oh, so all I do is buy the stock and sell call options against it. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to have the right stock. He goes, oh, I got the right stocks. And he had a portfolio full of pot stocks, right? Well, they weren't making any money. They had lousy management. They didn't have good fundamentals. And those stocks all declined by 90%, and a lot of them went out of business. So he lost a bunch of money doing this conservative strategy on that because he had the wrong stock. Got to have the right stock. What is the right stock? It's what I call a super stock. And you and I know what super stocks are. These are the ones that over the last 120 years, these are the ones that have outshined all the other ones. The Apple, the Google, the Microsoft, the Amazon, the Fords way back in the 50s, the GMs in the 50s and 60s, the Starbucks, the Dells. These are the super stocks. They have growing earnings, growing sales, growing return on equity, and they keep going up. And since they keep going up, you can leverage them and just sell calls against them, forever. And that's what I'm trying to do with Tesla.
Well, and what do you see as the biggest challenge when people try to do this on their own? I mean, you mentioned like buying the lesser known stocks, also ones that have less trading volume, I'd imagine, because I mean, you have one big buyer or seller do something, and then all of a sudden your price goes out of whack, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that you really look for? I mean, besides just the big, not even just, I wouldn't even call it the SP 500 stocks. You're really talking about the biggest of those stocks, right?
Yeah, I mean, we like to have stocks with good fundamentals, like I mentioned, and then good support institutionally, so that theoretically the institutions, hold them up because they've got a lot of skin in the game. But it's the four cornerstones are the right stock in the right market at the right spot on the chart, and then we squeeze the juice. We collect the rent from the stock. So just having the right stock is 1/4 of the equation. Now you've got to have the right market, because if you get a market that's moving in your direction, 70% of a stock's performance comes from the direction of the stock market, because it's a market of stocks. And so you want that tailwind from the stock, market going up. So we have a bit of market timing that we utilize. And then you got to find the right spot on the chart, because sometimes stocks are going down and they keep going down, and you think you're getting the value and they go down and down and down. So you got to find the right spot on the chart, the highest probability spot, and then you've got to get the juice on them. So we want to have really good stocks, and that's really the key. It's anybody can click a mouse and invest $100,000 and buy some stock. That's when people get into trouble, because you got a 50% chance of being right and a 50% chance of being wrong as soon as you do it. It's what happens after you click the mouse. So you click that mouse. Now, are you adjusting your trades down if the market's moving against you? Are you rolling up? Are you doing roll down strategies? And we have tons of strategies that we utilize. Most people, when they learn about covered calls, they learn just an inch deep, right, and a mile wide. They learn you buy the stock, sell the call against it, and they try it for 6 months, and they realize, well, I wanted to make more money, or it didn't work. And there's a lot more to it. So we go an inch wide and a mile deep on this one strategy. And our goal is just to collect income. That's the biggest challenge, to answer your question. It's the mindset of, I'm going to try to hit a home run. Well, when you swing too hard, you miss. And those are not the guys that, the home run hitters are not the guys in the Hall of Fame. It's the guys that get on base, that every single time, or every third time, I guess we should say, they get on base. Those guys go to the Hall of Fame because they know how to just hit stuff.
Right?
Yeah. And so that's what all we want to do is just get on base. We want to just get a little bit of income every week. We're not trying to kill it like the option buyer where he's trying to triple or quadruple his money. We just want to make 1% to 2% a week, 2% to 4% a month. That's what we're going for.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you right, the person that's wanting to just make it rich, get rich quick, they're probably gonna be the ones. And I know from my experience, anyone that was more that gambler mentality usually lost a lot more money than the person that actually just enjoyed the game. Like those that just, they did it because they thought it was fun, right? They didn't even do it to make money after a while. They're like, this is just fun. And like, those are the ones that seem like they kept progressing and growing and learning better than the ones that just wanted a way out. I just want to quit my job. I want to stop working with people. Like you said at the beginning, right? It's like, I don't want to have to, I want that people freedom, right? I want to get free from the people that make my life suck, but they tend to try to get there too quickly, and then they end up creating the opposite result.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, that's the way we're programmed, right? We're programmed for what's happening this week or this quarter. We're not programmed for what's happening in 10 years. And if we would just take a 10-year approach, if you take $100,000 and you can make 2% in a month, it's $1 million. It's $1.1 million after 10 years. It's a 10x. But most people aren't willing to wait 10 years to try to get $1 million. They're trying to get it overnight. But if you take $100,000 and you make it 4% a month, which is 2% to 4% is what we shoot for, it's 11 million. So now it's 100x. And people just don't think long term, unfortunately, and that's why the stock market kind of gets a bad rap. You think it's a place for gamblers, and it is. Thank God for the gamblers, because we get to take the other side of their trade. We make the money.
That's right. You can use that dumb money to kind of help you make more money, right?
Yep, that's the idea. But the biggest pitfall is emotions, because money is emotion. We work really hard for it. And so we've got all this emotion and like, oh, we've got some stored up and there's all that emotion there. And then if we lose it in the market, we're like, oh, devastated. I mean, it's not going to change the way we eat, but we get devastated. So we make emotional decisions with our money. And when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. Unfortunately, that's the way that people are wired.
Awesome, man. Well, before I ask you that, 1 million or $10 million question here,
Okay.
I want you to actually briefly bring up the event you've got here coming up in January, right?
Oh, yeah, thank you. So I have a mastermind group called Light Circle, which I'm very excited about. And it's a holistic place where people come together and they learn success secrets in all the areas of their life, their health, their wealth, their relationships, their spirituality, their travel. And it's an exciting place where we're doing cutting edge education, cutting edge communities, and empowerment. But we are having an event in January called Your Greatest Year. And it's a really cool event because it's an online life planning workshop. So, Chris, how maybe even you and I both do this because I know I've done it. It's December and we're like, I got to lose 20 pounds. Well, you probably don't have that problem because you're Mr. Marathon man, but I got to lose 10 pounds this year or whatever. And they set the goal. And what do? They go join a gym. And by the end of January, they have no desire to go to the gym anymore. And they drop their goal it just falls away. People don't take a holistic approach to their goals. So we're actually going to sit down over a weekend, 5 hours each day over a weekend, January 13th and 14th, and actually plan every aspect of 2024 for you. We're not going to do it for you. We're going to do it in a workshop format. We have 6 speakers coming in, really great speakers to bring you through all the cool areas of your life. Like we have a health speaker coming in to talk about that, somebody talking about your purpose. We're going to be doing a lot of time management. So that's really what the event is all about. It's called Your Greatest Year. You can go to 2024yourgreatestyear.com, or you can go to lightcircle.org/your greatest year. But yeah, thanks for letting me throw that out there because it's a really cool way to get everything all in one plan and execute it next year.
It's a great way to start the year, especially when 2024 could be a great year, it could be a tumultuous year, depending on which end of it you're on that spectrum, right?
Let's make it great.
That's right. And by the way, if people want to follow you, like they want to learn more about how they could do covered calls and do these kind of trades, where would they go to learn that?
You can just go to cashflowmachine.io and you'll find out, all about our programs. We got all the propaganda up there about what we do and our returns and, some testimonials and all that kind of stuff. I love the program. It's really exciting. We have a course, we have a full mastermind group behind it. And our goal is just to help people, figure out ways to make that income every month.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Cool.
All right. So kind of last question, and because I know we're out of time here, but I can see there's 2 myths that people might be holding on to that really prevent them from creating the kind of success you're talking about, where you could create maybe 2 to 4% returns a month, right, in the market. One is, people usually have this whole set it and forget it type of mentality. And really, maybe it comes down all to this, the set it and forget it, right? It's long-term, you just stay in it forever, don't move the money. And then 2, you don't even look at it, you don't manage it or anything. From what I'm getting from what you're saying, like depending on the timing with the stock and the direction it's going, the market and everything else, this is not something you just throw your money in, you just let it sit there and forget about it. This is something you got to be a little bit more active with. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's not a buy and hope strategy. You got to do a little bit of work. I call it semi-passive income because it's about 20 minutes to an hour a week of what I call work. But you're basically just looking at your account, and then on Fridays, which is when options expire, you roll them out to the next week, and so you collect that income every week and or every month. We have a lot of people that just like to structure it on a monthly basis too. So the goal is passive income. I've never really met anybody unless they've got like $100 million that has real passive income. There's always some little component of every kind of income that you got to do something with. But we try to get as close as we can with our cash flow machine.
That's awesome. And again, guys, cashflowmachine.io, you guys can check that out. But yeah, definitely, if you're going to be the person that's going to sit back and do nothing, again, kind of have that gambler mentality, I can already tell you, and I know Mark will agree, you're going to fail at this. It's not going to work. It's got to be something where you're willing to have some stewardship, some management over it, and then that allows you to be able to make it work. And especially if you do it for more than just for a paycheck. If you're not just looking at this like a job, but this is something that you can actually enjoy, then I can see that this could be a very potentially great option for you.
It is a great option, but it does take a long-term view because you're going to learn this and you're going to use it for the rest of your life, and you have to totally rewire your mind to say, I'm in this for the income. I'm not in this for the gain. And I know you agree with me this because the way we started about ETFs and mutual funds and giving your money over to somebody else to make money off of your money, and that's fine. People have a right to make money. I have no problem with that. It's just I have a saying called "Never give up your power in your health, your wealth, or your time." Because when you do that, you're giving the opportunity for somebody else to handle your money, and you have very little say in the decisions about your money. And you've worked really hard for it, so you might as well learn some right ways to handle it so that you can handle it for the rest of your life without being able to blame somebody else or having them skim off the top.
I love it. That's perfect. Well, Mark, I appreciate your time today. Very generous of you to share this with us and give a very different perspective than our usual guest that's just talking about real estate investing. So really appreciate that.
Well, and by the way, you have a great format, and I really like what you do. You're helping people get educated about wealth and about being empowered with their money. Even though it's mostly in real estate, it's also nice to get different perspectives. But that's what we need is we need more people to know more about what's going on with their money. So thank you.
I agree. Well, it's just perspectives like yours, even for me early on, that also helped me shift out of being a financial advisor mindset, right? When I started doing my own trading, that's when I
Yep.
realized, wait a minute, mutual funds are really the crappiest, mediocre return, high risk investment I could be doing when I could be taking control of my own destiny, my own time, my own money, and get it to
Yeah.
work harder for me. So I appreciate you really being that same place and empowering others to do so.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Everybody else, again, check out the show notes if you want to link up with Mark and be able to follow and learn more, especially if this is something that really speaks to you and you really feel like this is something that could be your next step. Definitely go check out his stuff. And also, this is the thing is that all of this is about you. Like, how do you create freedom for yourself and create more than just the money, but create a life? Go and make it a wonderful and prosperous week. See you later.
Anybody can click a mouse and invest $100,000 and buy some stock. That's when people get into trouble because you got a 50% chance of being right, a 50% chance of being wrong as soon as you do it. It's what happens after you click the mouse. And
Uh-huh.
there's a lot more to it. So we go an inch wide and a mile deep on this one strategy. And our goal is just to collect income. That's the biggest challenge to answer your question.